What's up, guys? I know it feels like I've been away for years now, but I'm finally back from the dead, and today I finally wanted to share my thoughts about Venom. It was directed by Robin Fleischer and stars Tom Hardy, Michelle Williams, and Riz Ahmed. The story follows Eddie Brock, a news journalist who thrives on in-your-face style reporting until he goes too far and ends up costing himself not only his job, but also his relationship. Fast forward 6 months, and now a down-on-his-luck Eddie gets a call telling him to continue investigating the Life Corporation, which leads to him coming in contact with Venom. Now on the run, he has to figure out how to coexist with a demanding symbiote, while also trying to devise a plan to bring down the Life Corporation once and for all. Now this movie has gotten a ton of hate up on its release, and critics have been brutal, and I'm not here to defend the flick or pile on top of it, but just share what I took away from it. I thought Tom Hardy was pretty good here. There were times where bad writing and direction couldn't be saved even by his immense talent, but mostly he gave a pretty solid performance as Eddie Brock. I liked the dynamic between him and Venom and thought that was the biggest strength of the film. He was a lot funnier than I was expecting going in. I knew they were going to try to go in a more humorous direction. I just didn't expect most of the jokes to land, but I actually was wrong. Aside from him acting nothing like what I've come to expect from Eddie Brock, I thought they did a great job of making him into a fresh version of the character, and I felt most people were so intent on seeing the one they wanted to see that they couldn't accept that this is something different and just go with that. Venom was my favorite thing in the film. Before he comes into play, the film honestly wasn't all that interesting, and I'll get into why in a second, but once Venom actually enters the story, things get a lot more intriguing. I love seeing Eddie fully transform into Venom and do his thing. Those were by far the most entertaining aspects of the movie, and I felt Sony did a pretty solid job with that. Yes, this most definitely should have been a rated R movie given the nature of Venom, but I didn't get hung up on that, and I still had fun with what we got. The dialogue between Venom and Eddie during the climax was hilarious, and I wish they were able to fit more of that into the film overall, but I feel they're on the right track with how Eddie and the symbiote interact, and I'm looking forward to see how that develops going into the sequel. And that's the good. Like all films, this movie has problems, and we're going to get into some of those problems now. I didn't too much like what they did with Michelle Williams' character. She felt mostly flat and underwritten mostly. She wasn't terrible in the film, I just don't feel like there was much effort put into her character. Also, the villain was pretty bad, and honestly, I think they simply chose to go in the wrong direction with him. This style of villain should be in one of those generic young adult films, not in a film where he should be intimidating and you're kind of building to a physical confrontation at the end. He was constantly going on and on about his future plans for humanity and how much he loved the symbiotes, and I honestly just didn't care about any of that, and I felt like he was probably the biggest thing that went wrong with the writing here. We also got a big CGI fight at the end that was visually harder to watch than the fights in the first Transformers movie. You have a black alien fighting a dark gray alien who looks just like him at nighttime. And I was also watching the film in 3D, so you can imagine how hard it was to even try to understand what you were seeing on the screen. And just throw in human faces mixed in between the blotches, and it's just a mess. My last gripe with the film was that they really didn't explain what it took for a symbiote to bond with a human being, because they make it clear that they can't just bond with any human in the movie, but at the same time they show Riot hopping from body to body with no explanation behind any of that. So I would have been interested in an explanation for, how that exactly works. Now I'm not gonna lie, in spite of all of these flaws, I still had a good time with the movie because I like Venom and I like Tom Hardy's performance as Eddie Brock. And I was ready to say how wrong people were and all of that, but I honestly only like 2 elements of the movie, and most of the complaints are actually valid when it comes to the plot and character. So while it didn't bother me, I can see what they were complaining about, but I still believe a lot of reviewers were being pretentious, and this was an easy punching bag, so they took it to the max. I'm gonna give Venom a 6.5 out of 10. It wasn't the shit show I was expecting going in, and I'm glad I was able to enjoy it because I want to see how the sequel turns out, and I hope they can learn from the mistakes they made here. Those are my thoughts on Venom, guys. Let me know what you guys thought down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.